Last night was the Halloween edition of Monday Night Raw, so would this holiday show be like all the others? We'll answer that question as WGS-TV reviews Monday Night Raw for the week of October 31st, 2016. Hey YouTube, are you ready for your hot tag? Because if you are, it's definitely time to work.
Hey guys, this is Gohan6425 on YouTube, the one and only. And right now, you are watching the one and only great WGS-TV.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of WGS-TV right here on YouTube.com/WrestleGamer. I am your friendly neighborhood Russell Gamer, and joining me on the Raw review this week, ladies and gentlemen, you know him as our resident music mogul over on YouTube.com/LanceMossTV, the incomparable Lance Moss. Lance, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. A little bit of a candy hangover, but otherwise doing good.
After WWE's miserable attempt to gain heat from Brock Lesnar's hometown last week, it was pretty clear that they have to do something pretty big to pick up the slack from last week's dismal performance. And since Goldberg's appearance was right at the start, let's talk about Raw. Goldberg opened up Monday Night Raw, says Brock Lesnar's name, and then gets interrupted by Paul Heyman. I guess WWE is more confident in Heyman being able to push the storyline further. And in all honesty, Lance, I think he needs a second chance to do it since last week was such a huge, miserable failure, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that was not on Heyman. It was on Vince because everybody knows Brock in Minneapolis is over as 10 tops of hell. And then trying to make him be a heel in his own hometown ain't gonna happen. Hell, that's Suplex City. It just ain't gonna happen.
After cutting the typical Brock is going to conquer you promo at Goldberg, out would come Rusev to get in Goldberg's face. I think they did this to show that Goldberg could still pull off a jackhammer even against the fat Wolverine known as Rusev. Now, Heyman may be good at cutting promos, Lance, but taking bumps is a completely different story. I mean, how ugly was that spear he took from Goldberg?
Well, I've seen worse, and Billy, one thing, remember, Nashville ain't that far from New Orleans. Just saying. Okay,
I didn't realize I was getting on anybody's bad side about that.
Well, you said something about Rusev, and he lives in Nashville.
He's the fat Wolverine. What do I have to be afraid of?
I don't know.
Anyway, now with last night being the Halloween edition of Monday Night Raw, of course they would have to have the annual Trick or Street fight, and this year they did it with Luke Gallows and Enzo Amore. Big Cass and Enzo were dressed up like Woody and Buzz Lightyear from Toy Story. Don't ask me how I know that. And even made the typical Toy Story references in their promos that were almost cringeworthy at best. Now, I don't know what your feelings were about that, Lance, but it just looked absolutely... I don't know what the word is to describe it.
Well, granted, when Toy Story first came out, I was in first grade, so it got me a little bit of nostalgia pop. But honestly, Big Cass is too damn big for that costume. And Enzo, bruh, I have a feeling you're a little bit of a spaceman, if you get what I'm saying, but your name ain't Buzz.
The finish of the match was Enzo hitting the DDG onto Gallows, who had a jack-o'-lantern on his head. Now, was it me, Lance, or did it look like Gallows missed time taking the bump for the DDG?
Yeah. Well, a part of that was he was having trouble getting his damn head in the pumpkin.
Yep.
If you look closely.
Up next was a rematch for the Cruiserweight Championship as the new champion, the Brian Kendrick, defended the championship against the former champion in TJ Perkins. At first, I had my suspicions about whether or not Kendrick was going to be a transitional champion. But when Kendrick cut his promo about what he's going to do to keep the championship, sold it for me. The match last night was just as good as their Hell in a Cell match, so I'll give it to them for that, Lance. It was a good match.
I wouldn't say as good as Hell in a Cell, but it was a very good match because, well, let's face it, Brian Kendrick decided to take a chicken shit way out. The chicken shit heel way out.
Yeah, which is typical. You know, getting intentionally counted out works for both of them in a way.
Yeah.
More than likely, the feud can now be pushed even further because of the count out, while at the same time, Kendrick's taking the cheap way out is a good way to gain heat from the crowd who are warming up to Perkins as the champion. So that was a smart move on WWE's part, Lance, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm just saying I just have when that kind of hurts the quality of said match. It helps the angle. The match, not so much, in my personal opinion.
Up next, Mick Foley was out there to address what happened in the Universal Championship Hell in a Cell match, which brought Kevin Owens and his best pal, Chris Jericho, out. Now, Lance, is it just me, or is Mick Foley forcing his promos just a bit as of late?
Yeah, I mean, Mick, we're all in a Mick Foley promo. It's usually cheap pop, here and yada yada yada, couple points and then out. This whole aggressive Mick, I don't know. I just don't know.
After getting in both Jericho and KO's face about the Hell in a Cell, the promo would then turn to the Raw Survivor Series team, where it would be revealed that both Owens and Jericho, which really isn't a surprise to me, would be named to the team along with the United States Champion Roman Reigns, much to the dismay of the crowd last night. Now, one thing I gotta say, Lance, I guess WWE is kind of starting to pick up on how the fans are reacting to the list of Jericho and how over it's getting. So, I guess to draw heat, good basic heat on Jericho, I guess the best thing they had him do was having him deny anyone being on the list last night.
Yeah, that is. Grant, I would have ran with the whole list thing, but WWE thinks they know best, so okay.
They would also use that to set up the main event of the United States Championship being on the line, as Roman Reigns would defend the title against Chris Jericho. We'll talk about that match when we get to the main event. Up next, it was the Battle Royal to determine the next member of the Raw Survivors team, but there was just too much focus and attention on Braun Strowman, Lance, and basically WWE just tipped their hand as to what they were going to do with this.
Yeah, there's hinting, and then there's being blatant showboating. This sumbitch is going to win. And that's exactly what they did with Strowman. They played their hand too hard. It's like doing like this, but it's like in a poker game. Instead of having them face this way, they had the cards facing their opponent. It's like we knew the fuck was going to happen.
Yeah. There's a couple of things I just want to say first. First, I hope the outfit Darren Young had on last night was just for Halloween and doesn't become a permanent part of his gimmick with Bob Backlund.
About that, I was thinking he was channeling IRS. For a second, I was like, oh, wait, there's my... okay.
And secondly, screw you to Byron Saxton for the ducky pajamas.
Oh, come on, you know you want to go on WWE.com and order you a pair.
Thirdly, screw you to Lance. Having the ending of the Battle Royal boil down to Sami Zayn and Strowman really adds to their growing storyline. Zayn almost pulled off a Chris Benoit when he headlocked Strowman and tried dragging him over the top rope, but Strowman reversed it and tossed Zayn out, getting the win. But what I don't understand, Lance, and I don't know if you caught this, but I definitely caught this, on the name graphic after he won the match, it had him as the final member of the Raw Survivor Series team. Why is he being named the final member of the Raw Survivor Series team when there's only been 4 members named?
I think they're only working on 4 people for this one.
No, they said 5 on 5.
Well, damn, I don't know then.
How about the New Day backstage dressed up as the 3 different gimmicks of the Godfather? You know, Big E as the Supreme Fighting Machine, Kama Mustafa when he was in the Nation of Domination, Xavier Woods as Papa Shango, and Kofi Kingston as the Godfather.
Oh.
I'm talking about the three faces of Foley, about the three faces of Kama.
Wouldn't that be the three faces of Holy? Let's just let that one sink in there.
Yeah. Now they were actually they cut a promo on Survivor Series and the SmackDown Live tag teams, which I believe is building up for the angle of the tag team elimination match between Raw and SmackDown Live.
Yeah.
Now up next, go ahead, Lance.
I said yeah. This is it.
Okay.
Building up to.
Up next was another six-man tag team match featuring the Cruiserweights as Rich Swann, Cedric Alexander, and Lince Dorado took on Tony Nese, Drew Gulak, and Arya Daivari. Lance, has anybody wondered why Rich Swann hasn't gotten a Cruiserweight Championship match against Brian Kendrick since he beat him last week?
I don't know, but did you catch the entrance botch?
I did not.
Who was on Gulak's team again?
There's Tony Nese and Arya Daivari.
When basically it came down underneath or on the Titantron, it said Drew Gulak.
WWE just full of technical botches, I guess.
I know, right?
Well, I'm not going to say the six-man tag team match was bad, but I'm just saying WWE had Swann go over on Kendrick last week, and then at the pay-per-view they put the title on Kendrick. I'm just saying. Swann's roundhouse kick into the jackknife pin finish was pretty sweet, though. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
Now, up next, Charlotte would call out Bayley as being the weak link of the division of sorts, which was really expected since from the way it looks now, that Bayley's being pushed towards a run at the Raw Women's Championship, Lance, wouldn't you think?
That's the rumor I've heard is the reason why they took the belt off Sasha and put it on Charlotte, because they wanted Bayley and Charlotte to have a run.
So out from nowhere comes Nia Jax, who's been gone off of Raw for weeks now. So I guess now they finally have something for her to do, as she worked a pretty decent match with Bayley. Now, it really wasn't anything different from what they did in NXT, but being that the majority of fans still don't have the network, this would be the first time they see Jax and Bayley work together. And I gotta say, it was a pretty decent match.
Yeah.
But here's my thought. The finish of the match was Nia hitting a Samoan drop on Bayley to pick up the win. So the question I now have to ask, Lance, if Bayley's being pushed towards a run at the Raw Women's Championship, why have Nia go over on her?
Simple. Make Bayley an underdog.
Well, you got a point there. Up next, it was Cesaro and Sheamus taking on the Shining Stars. This was basically a time filler match, while at the same time putting over Cesaro and Sheamus as a legit tag team for some reason, which leads me to believe, Lance, that Cesaro and Sheamus will be a part of the Raw Tag Team Elimination Survivor Series team.
Yeah, it's looking like that.
The finish of the match was Sheamus locking on the Cloverleaf on Epico to pick up the win for his team. But I have to ask this, Lance. Do we really need to talk about the Golden Truth's visit to the haunted house last night? Do we?
Well, the truth shall set you free.
Well, here's the truth. Goldust freaking out the clowns, but he was wearing more makeup than they were. Just saying.
He is the bizarre one, remember that.
I don't know what else to say. I think a lot of fans were hoping to see the Boogeyman last night, but that didn't happen.
No.
But anyway, time for the main event. The United States Championship on the line as Roman Reigns defended the championship against Chris Jericho. Now, did anyone really expect Roman Reigns to drop the title to Chris Jericho last night, Lance?
No.
Yep.
Straight up, nope.
That is the correct answer. I will say this, the match was still really worked well for a main event. But I have to call out either Roman Reigns or Chris Jericho on that spear spot, Lance, because that was done really bad.
Yeah, and sometimes Roman can hit that thing to perfection, but just not this time.
Now, I can understand Paul Heyman not being able to take a bump from Goldberg's spear, but what the heck happened with Reigns' spear on Jericho? It's like Jericho didn't want to take the bump from it, so he just kind of just prematurely went to the ground. That's what it looked like.
I don't know.
Owens would interfere. Owens would interfere, thus ending the match in disqualification, and Seth Rollins would come out to make the save on Reigns, which now leads me to believe, Lance, two things might be happening. One, that we will have a tag team match next week with Jericho taking on Rollins and Reigns, and two, Seth Rollins will be named to the Survivor Series team for Raw.
That's a possibility, and have you heard the rumors going around?
No.
That one brand or the other wants to reunite the Shield.
It could happen. I don't know how they would work it, but it could happen.
It's simple. Whichever side, if Raw wins, draft Dean to Raw. Bam! There you got your all three Shield members on there, and then if SmackDown wins, draft Reigns and Rollins over there. Simple. They just can't screw up the storyline.
You got an interesting point there. Overall score on the Halloween edition of Raw gets a 3 out of 5, with best match of the night going to the Cruiserweight Championship rematch, and worst match of the night goes to the time filler match of Cesaro and Sheamus taking on the Shining Stars. Was anyone actually interested in that match? No.
Well, maybe I know one thing that probably was the whatever travel agency the Shining Stars work for.
Anyway, Lance, over to you. Your overall score and your picks for best and worst match or segment of Monday Night Raw.
Well, I'll get 3 out of 5, and best because, well, I have kind of a weird sense of humor. Enzo, the Halloween street fight, because I just have a weird ass sense of humor.
I'm not surprised. I don't know what else to say, but I'm not surprised. What about worst match of the night?
Yeah, the filler.
Well, guys and gals, that's been our talk, or our thoughts. Our talk and about our thoughts on Monday Night Raw. I dare anyone to say that 5 times fast. So what we want to know from you guys out there, the viewers and subscribers, your thoughts on Monday Night Raw this week. What are your overall scores? What are your picks for best and worst match or segment of Monday Night Raw this week? Definitely want to hear what you guys out there have to say. Be sure to put your comments in the comment section below. If you like this video, be sure you slam that like button like a champ. Lance, what can fans expect to see when they come visit your channel over on youtube.com/LanceMossTV?
Well, I got a couple of guitar builds coming up, and every Wednesday I go live unless I preempt it for whatever the hell reason. I have Lance Moss TV friends. I never know who's going to show up, and check that out if you hadn't. Well, subscribe if you hadn't.
And guys and gals, be sure you check me out on social media. The links will be provided in the description box below. I'll have a couple of videos in the annotations also for you guys to check out as well. And also, if you want to see more of your friendly neighborhood wrestle gamer and Lance Moss talk wrestling along with some awesome gameplays as well, be sure you hit that subscribe button down below. So with that being said, for the incomparable Lance Moss from Lance Moss TV, I'm the Wrestle Gamer, and I'll see you at the next Warp Zone. Bye, guys.
God damn. Okay, they would have to throw in the pin.
Very nice spot. To say the least. The finish of this match was Owens powerbombing Rollins through 2 chairs to pick up the win and retain the Universal Championship. Then after the match, Jericho